today we're here from Eligeo Business Solutions to talk about a very interesting topic, something that I'm sure you face on a daily basis if you're in any job role where you're dealing with clients. Are they always right? The million-dollar question. And we have Kareem here to discuss this topic. Kareem, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Wonderful. Thank you, Sonia, for the intro. Good morning, everyone. My name is Karim Mahdi. I'm the VP of Client Success at Eligeo Business Solutions. My background is I've been in the tech industry now for almost 20 years. I've worked in several industries within that are related to the tech industry that where we're able to apply some technologies and help businesses grow over time. And some of these industries have been the oil and gas industry, agriculture, education, finance. So I've been exposed to several of these industries and understand how their day-to-day operations work. I've been with Eligeo for on and off for the last almost 11 years now, as in several positions. Actually, I was a client. I used to do account management, dealt with support, and now my position is the client success manager, which basically manages the support and also help with the client's day-to-day operations and any projects that our clients usually request from us.
Fantastic. Thank you, Kareem. Well, obviously, with your experience, you're more than qualified to talk about this topic today. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit about the process at Eligeo? How do we deal with our clients, and how do we deal with requests that come in?
Yeah, so our process at Eligeo is pretty straightforward, actually. We've managed to basically work with our clients now through our help desk. We have a system where it's set up that our clients send us requests, and these requests basically come in through our help desk system that they can send us requests for day-to-day support if they're having any problems with their system, any new projects they may like to discuss with us. Also, if they would like us to help them with their licensing. So for any of the platforms that we work with, if they would like to purchase more licenses or modify their license count, we would basically work with them through our ticketing system, and they would submit a ticket to us. We review their request and then put it through to the proper channels in our organization. On a daily basis, for example, you get your typical request of, some glitches with my system, or I need help, achieving a certain task on the system. But at the same time, they do send us requests for trying to modify the system, or looking to set up an appointment to have an implementation manager to meet with a client to start on a project where we can collect data. So normal data on the project that basically they're looking to work on. So normally we ask questions, we make sure we review these requests thoroughly and make sure that these are doable. And then we start asking the right questions to make sure that we are getting the proper picture of what the client is looking for, and at the same time assigning them to the right people. So that way we're having the proper parties involved to make sure that we're getting these requests basically put into place and started.
Fantastic. So moving on to the next question is, let's talk about what defines pushback. What does it mean to push back your client, and when should you do it, and how do you find the balance? Is it just saying no all the time, or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, of course you cannot say no all the time, otherwise we would be out of business. But normally we look at that when a request comes in, it always should be read thoroughly and try to understand as much as you could out of the text that was put into that request. If there's any areas that are unclear, definitely a feedback should be sent over to the client to say that, okay, we need some clarification on what they're looking for. Whether that's just by sending an email to ask them about the specific areas that are unclear, or at the same time maybe booking an appointment with them to discuss these in more details. we have seen some requests where basically the client may want to get everything done at once. What I mean by that is they could be just starting with a platform and they're looking to have all 100 features maybe integrated right away. That could end up actually being overwhelming for the client themselves when we're going into executing the program and basically having them to start working on that. So normally what we would do is our pushback is more of a recommendation to say that, okay, we need to start these sections first, get them deployed, have you work on them. So in order for you to understand the platform properly and actually have your staff understand the platform properly. And then as we go with the project and as we progress with the project and go live, we start breaking down the next sections that they're looking for to integrate into the system. This will definitely help to have a more successful implementation of the platform, rather than bringing every single feature into the system that may end up overwhelming some of the users and they're not able to use it properly just because they don't understand the initial process of how these systems may work, and then get into the advanced details later. So as we said, is more of, we would say no to the client on certain things, but these are more as pushback to make sure that we're recommending the right things to them. We're making sure that we're putting the right steps in place to have a successful implementation and also have their employees have a successful understanding of the software and make sure that they're able to use it properly and understand everything that's going on in the back end of the whole workflow that they for our clients. So that's kind of some of the areas that we would cover is first, let's review the request, make sure the request is clear, give some recommendations to the client to let them know that, okay, we should do this rather than do everything all at once, break down the project into phases and have things integrated per phase and deployed, and then train the staff on how to use it. And then after that, we continue. Now, of course, we have some clients that would push back also on us and say, okay, no, I would like to have everything at once. We may end up having to basically go with what the client says, but at the same time, we have to be upfront and let them know that this can cause such and such issues in the future. So again, we would definitely give them the recommendation to make sure that, you can expect such and such problem if we do such and such all at the same time. So that's usually where we try to find a happy balance in there, where it's all give and take. We take a little and the customer takes a little, and then we give a little and they give a little. So we have to make sure that there is going to be a happy balance between both us and the clients to make sure that we're having a successful deployment at the end of the day and all parties are happy.
Fantastic. Thank you. You actually already touched on my next question as well, but maybe you could give us an example of, either you or a member of your team had to deal with the situation where the client refused your feedback and was adamant that, they want it their way and that's it.
Well, I mean, not every client that we deal with is not technical. Some clients we deal with are very technical and they do understand the platforms, and they come to us to basically complement their what they know, so we can help them out and give them more advice above and beyond what their expertise are. Of course, in some situations we've had clients come in and add features into the system, and then they let us know after the fact that, okay, we have added this feature into the system, and can you please make sure you review it and make sure that it's not going to cause any problems. Unfortunately, when it comes down to that, is if there is something that was added into a system where we did not know about, it would cause an issue, and this is a general rule in any tech support, is if you're not aware of something that was added, or if you have not tested something that was added to the system prior to deploying it, it could cause some unknown issues that you will not be aware of until basically it goes live. So if something happened in the past, we've had basically cases where someone has inserted a line of code, or it could have been they inserted a new feature into the system that we weren't aware of, or we did not test prior to it being deployed into the system, and then we find out after that, okay, this was not done by us. It could have been done by a client or done by one of the client's support staff without asking us, and it caused an issue later on in the future. So again, from these lessons, what we've learned is prior to saying, one is we don't say yes to everything before doing a research on it, making sure that it is not going to cause any problems in the future, and also it is going to work properly with the system. And number two is any request that anything that would have been put by the client without us being asked first, we would probably ask to disable those features until we go back and do the research from our end to make sure that it is not going to cause any problems. And that's normally the case now. Luckily we have our clients are all great on that end now, where they come to us and actually ask us for advice first before they try to do something on their own. But at the same time, the majority of the time, they actually ask us if they like to add the feature, and then we go in and do the testing for them, and then we give them the green light. Okay, this should be added or should not be added.
Yep.
Yeah. So I hope that answered your questions there.
Yes, it does. And I think it makes a lot of sense too, because the more honest feedback you give the client, the more they know, they can trust you and they can trust whatever you tell them. So when you say that, yes, we can do it, they know that you mean it. And when you say you can't, they know you mean that too. And I think that comes with a lot of, that helps build a lot of integrity in your relationship too.
Of course.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, that's what it is you got to make sure. And nowadays also with everything being remote and people depending on their systems remotely, as they're not working with each other, you have to make sure things are tested thoroughly before they are deployed. Otherwise, you could impair someone's system and not be able to have them to continue working with their day.
Absolutely. Yeah. Making your clients happy in the short run could be disastrous in the long run. Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, we don't have any questions from the audience, so we're just going to keep chugging on. Eligeo works with such a diverse portfolio of clients. We have clients in education and finance, agriculture, nonprofit, oil and gas, and more. So in your interactions, what role does industry play?
Well, that's a great question, because whenever you're working with a client, you always want to understand their industry and how the platform that you are looking to offer them to use, or the platforms that they are using, apply to their industry. No two systems, I would say no two clients have the same platform use it the same way. So when we're talking to someone who's in education, they're going to use it completely different than someone who is in the agriculture industry, or someone who is in the finance industry, or someone who's in the oil and gas industry. So understanding the industry first, and then understanding the client's workflow is very important. The research must be done prior to jumping in and making a recommendation to the client. So, and normally what we do with these things is in general, we do our research on the industry first. We speak with the clients and find out more from them about their day-to-day usage. It doesn't necessarily have to be for the platform that we're working on, but it's just the general usage, their general workflow of what their workflow consists of. And that's how we interact with them and try to tailor the experience for them according to their industry, rather than just a general idea saying, here's a piece of software that can do such and such and such, just with their features. No, it would be more of, here's a piece of software that can do such and such for your industry, rather than just a general idea of saying, yes, you can create a task, but what does a task do for your day-to-day work? You can, that's where we come in and make sure that the expectations are clear to our clients that work in a specific industry, that we are focusing on the work towards what they do, rather than just having a general system implemented in place for them that, okay, here is a system for you, go and figure it out. No, we don't do that. We make sure it is clear that we are setting them in the right path for what their industry requires, and make sure that the system is successfully capturing all the information that they need for the areas that they are looking for.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You're welcome.
What's your advice on managing up if your management team still believes that the client is always right? And I've seen this happen quite a few times in past roles. I'm very interested to hear your perspective on this.
I mean, we're a service focused business, so of course we're there to we're all about pleasing our clients and making sure our clients are happy, and that's basically the goal is to make sure the clients are happy. However, is if you keep doing that all the time, your clients may end up being happy, but in the back end, your staff and you as a person, maybe who's saying yes all the time, may end up putting more load on yourself than what you need to, because you basically could be causing problems later on in the future. Like we said earlier, keeping a client happy in short term is not going to be a solution that will keep a client happy in the long term. And that's where it is important is that the saying that the client is always right, that was I don't think it was implemented correctly or in the past, where people have always said, yes, the client is always right, the client is always right. Now, in certain situations, of course, the client is always right. But in other situations, you do need to educate the client to make sure that they understand that, okay, yes, you are pushing on me to make sure that I have something done for you, but what you are asking for can cause such and such issues in the future, and it can cause such delays in projects that you're working on. I mean, there's always things like you're working on a project, and halfway through a project, the client comes in and says, well, I would like to revamp everything now halfway through and change certain features. Well, to try to change a certain feature in the middle of a project that you're working on, especially with the type of projects that we work on, is not, it is doable, and I'm not saying it's not doable, but again, you need to advise that the client is you doing certain modification or adding, I wouldn't say adding, it's more changing, it's more adding features into something. It can cause delays by one, scheduling. We need to reschedule all the work to be added into the project. Two, that new addition of the new feature addition could cause basically a huge code change that has to be done to other features to make sure we can accommodate the new feature. So the best way I would say to this is you need to kind of sit down with the client, discuss these, and have a brainstorming session to actually let them know that, okay, I know you are looking for this feature. I know you would like to have this feature in place, and it will benefit your business in the future. However, the right way of approaching it is this, not dropping the project halfway through and changing everything to make sure we can add this feature, is continuing with what you're doing, finishing what you're doing, making sure you have a successful implementation of what you're doing now, and then adding this as a future feature to the system, or a future change to the system, to make sure that it's not delaying what you're doing right now to execute the project for a client.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it is yes, the saying client is always right is definitely been there for a long time, but again, the client is always right, but we'll need to have some sort of discussion about that, of how we can make the client right by giving them advice to get them to the right space that they to the right place that they want to be.
Absolutely. It sounds to me like you're saying that the client is definitely always right in that they know what they need for their business. But, our expertise comes in the execution and in the advice. And even though they might be right in what they want and what they need, they may need some guidance in the timeline and the roadmap and the execution of it, and that's where we come in.
Exactly. Is definitely guide them to get them to the right place, rather than just saying yes and then it ends up getting them to the wrong place. So
right.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. So how do you train your own team members? Because I don't know if this is correct, but it may take a certain kind of personality to be able to push back. I may be wrong, but what are your thoughts on that? How do you train your new staff so everyone's on the same page?
Well, in general, our new staff always goes through training prior to basically being put in front of the client. So regardless of what their experience is in the past, we always go through training on the platforms that we're working with and having them make sure understand the platforms that our clients are working on, and give them the knowledge of the knowledge that we've gained over the years with dealing with these clients, to make sure that to avoid any problems with them doing the support side. So first is they need to understand what each client's business is, what their workflow is, and what has been configured on the platform. Now, when we do that, and then we put the support staff in front of the clients, is we also explain to them that previous experiences in the past of what major problems happened with their systems and what issues certain things caused with the system. So if basically a request comes in that's similar to something that we had in the past that we knew that it could have caused a problem, then our support staff is ready to be able to give them feedback on saying that, okay, this could cause this and such problem. And we would give them an explanation of why it would cause this problem, not just say, okay, no, we are not going to do this. But we would actually have our support staff ready and be knowledgeable enough to say that, okay, you would like to have this feature, however, adding this feature at this time in the middle of a project or adding this feature to the system could cause such and such issue because of such and such. So we're not just giving them short answers, we're actually giving them feedback and a recommendation of how to make sure that the client knows that we are giving them educated answers rather than just a guess of why we shouldn't do this. And again, it makes sure that all this training that our staff goes through gives them the confidence to say what they need to say to the client and make sure that they are on the right page with answering these questions to our clients and making sure that everybody comes in at the end of the day is happy with the answers that they're getting and also the answers that they're giving.
Mm-hmm. And I think there's something so important in what you said just now. Just empowering your staff with data sometimes is a huge step, and that could be the make it or break it difference, right, between a successful new staff member and an unsuccessful one. And we have that information. If we have a CRM that's implemented properly and being used all the time, all of that information is available to staff rather than having to dig it up.
Well, exactly. I mean, do what you preach. We definitely have our systems in place, and these systems, like any system that we provide to our clients, we do have that implemented internally. So our staff uses it on a daily basis to understand how those systems work. And again, like you mentioned, having a successful CRM in place is one key point of our having the system, or one key area of having these systems in place is if we have a CRM system in place, we use that CRM system to collect all the data about our clients and making sure that anyone can go in from our staff can go into our CRM system and find historical data about the client, whether it's emails, whether it's knowledge base, whether it's notes that we've made about certain things that we've configured into their system that we need to kind of pay attention to, or steps of how to achieve a certain feature that a client is looking for, or how to troubleshoot these features too, and any problems that may happen. So, yeah. Thank
you. So do you have any advice for anybody that is trying to get more comfortable working with clients and is maybe not feeling that confident in, maybe their technical skills or just managing personalities?
Well, the number one thing is you need to know your client. Even if you're a new person, prior to speaking with a client, research about the client, find out what do they do, what their day-to-day looks like, as in first is look into basically their website. That's the first start, is find out about the industry that they're working on and what do they do. The other thing is reach out to your colleagues, who've had experience with those clients, to find out about what is a typical workflow for this particular client that you are dealing with. So when you're going in there, your understanding of what's going on the system when you're jumping on a support call, for example, or when you're jumping into a project to see what's what they're looking to achieve. Understanding a client's workflow is the most important thing. You cannot just go in and assume that you're going to be able to collect information from someone without understanding what they do. So those are the two key pointers. Is first is do your research and find out what industry this client is in, and what kind of businesses that they're involved in. Number two is reach out to all your colleagues that have previous experience with this particular client, so you understand their workflow and understand what things maybe are key pointers basically for this particular client that you need to be aware of. And the other one is ask as many questions as you can to the client themselves. Even though you are new, you have done your research, don't be shy to ask questions when something is unclear. You cannot just take what the client's given you and run with it without asking questions. I mean, I've done this with several of our clients who we've been dealing with in the past. I may ask several questions that they may sound, sometimes people think that these things are obvious or everything should be obvious to them. But again, it never hurts to double check. You're only doing this to benefit your client. You're not just doing it to benefit yourself. You're doing this to benefit your client, because if you're double checking on everything that they're asking you, or if you're looking for more clarity about something that they're asking you, that's just going to give you a better understanding of what you need to go do, and at the same time achieve what they're looking for and have it successfully implemented, than having to go back 5 or 6 times to redo all the work. Reach out to your mentors, try to find who are the senior staff in your business that you could maybe have conversations with and get advice from them about certain things when it comes down to specific clients also. But yeah, I mean, these are really the 3 things that I would suggest is do your research, do your research about the client, understand their workflow, and definitely, work with your colleagues to find out more about the client, about personalities, about day-to-day work that they're doing and all that.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much. That actually brings me to the end of my list of questions for you. And we don't have any questions from the audience today. So do you have any final words of wisdom to share with us today?
Well, I mean, all I'm going to say is, again, never be afraid to say no if you're confident enough that whatever request comes your way may cause a problem to both yourself and the client in the long run. Always research. Definitely always ask questions. Like I said, this is the one thing is asking questions is key. Don't take things and run with them without asking questions. Even if they may sound clear in the email, but there is maybe that one little chance of you thinking that, okay, this may not be something that I understand 100%. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Always keep asking questions and say no in the right times when you think that something is going to cause a problem that the client is pushing to move forward with. And again, that will make you more valuable to your client when you're actually when you're pushing back with a valid reason, rather than just saying yes and then causing problems for them later on in the future.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for all of your advice today, Kareem, and thanks so much for joining us today. Yeah, and for our attendees, for our viewers today, if you want to attend any of our other events and want to see a list of our upcoming events, please go to eligeo.com/events. And if you have any questions for Kareem, send them our way, and I'm sure he'll be happy to tackle them for you.
Definitely.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Have a great rest of your day. Thanks.